All right. Greetings. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. The topic of the video is going to be, where are we headed? GCR wealth transfer update. I plan on discussing. I want to once again thank everyone, each and every one of the you all out there that continue to follow the channel, have continued to support the channel throughout the numerous years. Those have been loyal. Your support is much appreciated, despite what happened to this channel. There's a new channel that I have you can subscribe to at Dorsey's Resource 873. Periodically, I know it's been a while since I've gone live over there or done a video, but that is the newer channel where I have some action-packed content in store for down the road. So make sure you check that channel out as well for if you haven't seen some of the videos over there. But I'll continue to do videos from this channel until further notice. I always keep you guys posted with updates. But I wanted to do a video on the topic. I know it's been a minute. I get asked periodically from time to time, once in every blue moon. Different people I talk to say, hey, Dorsey, what's happening with the dinar? Or what's going on with this GCR wealth transfer thing? What is the truth out there, despite all these different opinions, different channels that's popped up, prophecies, prophetic words? I like to keep things as simple as possible to a degree and go by what has been reported on, what we can kind of paint a picture for you guys, what we do know. I did speak to one of my private sources not too long ago, and I asked them for information from time to time. And sometimes it's not a lot, it's not really anything that comes in particular. But one of the things my private source mentioned, for those out there who wonder what was going on with the dinar, the Vietnamese dong, the Indonesian rupiah, those particular currencies, as they still behind the scenes have been on hold. There was the revaluation was actually supposed to take place a very long time ago, but my source informed me very recently. He said that it was not even actually meant for the public to be aware. It was only meant for a small handful of certain individuals, and I always wondered about that. I wanted clarification since former President Bush, the son who was in office at one time before President Obama, had passed an executive order, in case you all are not aware, that allow U.S. citizens to purchase Iraqi dinar. If you all remember that, I think it was Executive Order 130033. You can look it up. I don't remember it offhand, but something like that. If you all remember, some of you all may know offhand. Well, my source mentioned it was actually never meant to go viral. When I started doing videos a long time ago, you guys know I don't really cover that topic anymore. I've told you I'll put the dinar on the back burner because a lot of people didn't understand there's different layers to unpack. With the dinar, you had private groups out there. You also had very important people. There's a tier system that was set up, and you had governments that were involved. You could say governments behind the scenes are like the equivalent of big whales that make big giant crypto purchases behind the scenes, where the people who know how to track the blockchain can see the transaction, or some could see other countries purchasing large amounts of currency for their particular governments and things. This is stuff that goes on behind the scenes, trade finance and things that a lot of the general public may not be privy to. I was aware of when I did research many years ago. Many different U.S. corporations had invested in their country, allegedly Pepsi, Coca-Cola, McDonald's. This is how some of these franchises that you see that you may be familiar with over here in the United States, you will see in these other foreign countries. They just didn't pop up in these places by mistake. By the way, these international, multi-transnational corporations that are international, that do business worldwide, that have become super conglomerates, by the way. So my source, once again, was reiterating, in case you are not aware, they never intended for the general public to be aware. It was supposed to be only privy amongst a class a handful of people behind the curtain, behind the scenes that we're going to exchange. Then because of the internet, how the internet has transformed and changed exponentially from how it used to be, well over going on now about two decades ago. We've seen major changes that have taken place in the way people receive and get access to information. So there was a belief. So once the cabal, the evil cabal, the deep state, dark criminals behind the scenes that work in the cover of darkness, that don't have the general public's best interest at heart, that have nefarious intentions, they sought out a plan. They not only changed the entire banking system around, which, if you're understanding what the reason why Bitcoin was brought about, and they're going to be changing the name from crypto to using the term digital assets, because that was also a ploy to get the general public acclimated with this new type of digital currency where everything, because the bad evil cabal wants to have it with the CBDCs where they can just cut you off all of a sudden, where, if they don't like your political views, they don't like what you're talking about, what you're saying, which has already been implemented in other countries like China with the social credit system that the former CEO of Google, who still may be in control of their parent company, Alphabet, Eric Schmidt and Bill Gates, I was informed from listening to Mel K, independent journalist on Band.video, when I kept up with that they allegedly set up China's computer system, their interface. They did get into IT information technology over there, set up their infrastructure, and they were trying to implement the Dragonfly Google search engine where it would report on you all your searches and report back to Google. And in case you guys didn't hear, I just bookmarked another article. I guess it was still going through. There's a settlement, maybe class action lawsuit process that Google had lost, where they found that the incognito browser, people, I guess, sued, or some people took action. They found out it was still spying on Americans illegally, by the way, and they lost the lawsuit. Notice how this isn't really big in the mainstream media, by the way, because they pick and choose what they want you to know, what they want what stories they want. But you can look this up. This was actually a mainstream article, and I bookmarked it again. I've told you guys in the past, believe it or not, I brought it up, but I guess they were still going through a process of payouts. So you know how class action lawsuits work. Even though Ripple, if you're familiar with the cryptocurrency XRP, won the lawsuit against the SEC, there's still some things being worked out. So I guess there was an article that was done recently about Google losing, and it had to deal with their incognito browser, which is their private web browser. By the way, so you have the regular browser, then you have the incognito. And the reason I was familiar with this, and I have a good memory, I would have never known about the incognito browser if it wasn't for some years ago. I have a friend who's one of my friends. I won't say the name, that's an associate of mine, but I could consider him a friend, a true friend, share with me some years ago what that was. And I had no idea. And come to find out, they were still, I guess, tracking people's cookies and things of that sort. And they lost. It's a true story. Mighty funny. It seems like we don't never have any victories against, I call them these big tech bullies, between the Facebooks of the world, the Googles, the Apples, etc., the Amazons even, that flex their muscle, that stump on the small businesses, entrepreneurs, the little guy, or people that were content creators that made YouTube what it was. Remember, it was you and the tube originally. Then it got sold out commercially. When things blow up commercially, it was no longer about we the people anymore. And the deep state criminal cabal basically took it over. And if they don't like your political views or like what you're talking about, we saw how they strike people's channels down. You guys already know what happened to me, of course. That's why many left and went over to Rumble. One of the things I forget to mention to you all, how I fight back, and I think it's important for you guys to still get the good quality information. Make sure, if you haven't done so yet, go over to Rumble, set up an account. It's like another YouTube. In case you're not aware, Rumble has grown exponentially. I'm so proud of Rumble. And there's other platforms out there. You want to have a backup for a backup for a backup, because these deep state criminal cabal devils, they are these Satanists. They will stop at nothing to make sure that you take their kill shots, that you don't receive the good information, the real information. That's why they classify certain information as conspiracy theory or fake news. No, they're the ones that put, I will say this, they don't tell you or go as in depth. And people want to hear from actual live people that they identify with, not just media people that are reading from a teleprompter that will get fired or lose their jobs if they don't report the real information. That's why people go to band.video or madmaxworld.tv or go to Alex Jones's Twitter account, and where he's the tip of the spear, and get the real information. Despite, notice the media is always, look at who they're always demonizing. You got to pay attention to that. Sometimes the person that they're always pointing the finger at, that's the person you got to pay attention to, because why don't they want you watching that person? You got to ask the question. Why does the left hand doesn't want the right hand? They don't want vice versa. They don't want you to know what is really being going on behind the scenes, or what has been going on with the true migrant crisis that's been controlled for years, but in other countries and things of that sort, which he also reports on. And the reason why they've increased the amount, they've always had this going on for years with foreigners coming over. It's always been controlled. And that's a whole discussion. This is no offense to anybody, because I had a foreigner, some African person that was watching my channel, was may have been offended by some of the comments that I mentioned in the past. And I mean no offense. If you're new to this channel or you're from a foreign country, understand, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Illuminati before, or the ruling class elite. They do exist. This is not just something I'm making up. This is very real, and they control our politicians. A lot of this infrastructure is being done through the UN, the World Economic Forum, connected to Klaus Schwab, the Davos Group, that's based out of Davos, Switzerland, which is connected to the Bilderberg Society, the Bilderberg Secret Society. All this is intertwined, interconnected. The G20 summit, they have a structure where they want to break America. And part of this has been a long thing span. I remember one of my relatives said their former pastor mentioned this. Pastor Johnston, rest in peace, too. They said, she mentioned to me that he said they would attack us from within. To take America down, they would come from within. And you see that through when, I don't really get into politics anymore, because I personally canceled my voter registration back in 2004, and I probably have not been a registered voter ever since. And you guys may wonder why I mention that, because I do have newbies of people that may be unaware. So to show this is proof that I can be politically neutral when I discuss between Democrats and Republicans, but I still keep my eyeglasses on. I still pay attention to politics. And I just think, in my humble opinion, the Democratic Party is being used primarily as a tool. There's people that have good intentions on helping the poor, helping the downtrodden, people that don't do well. But you have politicians that are bought off, are paid off, and the ruling class elite have an agenda. And in my opinion, they have been, using, doing different tactics. Republicans, I understand, they're not perfect either. They don't rob Peter to pay Paul, in my opinion. They have their flaws and definite problems, but I don't see their neighborhoods, people that vote that particular way, their neighborhoods don't look as devastated in certain urban cities, urban environments. It was another channel I was listening to, and he was pointing out the fact that most liberal cities that are heavily Democratic, certain ones, not all, but a significant portion that have certain minority populations, their neighborhoods, if you compare them to Republican people who vote Republican, their neighborhoods, the Democrats are more deplorable. They're more, have problems, issues with corruption, politicians stealing money. There's a consistent pattern. Yes, it does go on amongst Republicans, but if you had, and this is obvious, some Democrats don't want to admit this, but this is clearly obvious, because I even asked in the Telegram room that I know leans more to the left than right, and I said, what political party I just asked the question: is pushing this agenda to break apart the family structure, or pushing this agenda with let's say same-sex marriage, etc., or this thing with pushing this upon kids in the school and all this stuff. And they easily said immediately, they said the Democratic Party. So I say, oh, so they were obviously able to see that, and they lean more to the left. Just saying, what does that tell you? I'm just saying, I'll just leave it at that. I won't get, too political, but just going from there. So to piggyback, getting to the topic of the video, where are we headed from here? My advice, like a previous video I gave, this is not legal advice or financial advice, but continue to stay the course. I still listen to other channels out there from time to time. I check out Currency 365. Big shout out to who's been a big supporter. TC, who was a contributor at times. I believe Twisted Christian. That's what TC stands for. Some of his videos about the wealth transfer. Some things I agree with. Some things I disagree with. I would say, by the way, but I think he paints a picture for you. And part of staying the course is continue to accumulate what you have been in the past. We talked about what he's mentioned, foreign currency, digital assets. They're going to move away from calling cryptocurrencies. Once regulations come down the road, that's going to eventually happen. There's a channel that I came across. There's more that are getting aware. Unfortunately, the cabal, the evil cabal, has an agenda, and they want to, you already know, bring in these central bank backed digital currencies called CBDCs, something to that effect, central bank digital currencies. And under that agenda, they want to, as many of you, if you're not aware, have it where you're forced to go through them. So the word I got from one of my sources that I spoke to is they want to take over exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, by hitting them up with regulations, which the SEC is attacking them like they did Binance. Others have been attacked, I think Gemini. They want to force you eventually one day to go through their institutions, their banks. They want you to come through to them to buy cryptos. And if that's the case down the road, they want to be able to have the capability, if they don't like, or they want to integrate, if they are able to successfully implement this social credit system. If you know any politicians that are pushing for that, and you still do participate in the process, you still do vote, because I do think people that still participate, it's important. It's just like you need people between going overt and covert. You need people on both sides. If you're going to get tactical, you need to be overt. I discussed this with a friend. There's a strategy going overt and covert, or hiding in plain sight. But if you still do participate in a political process, you want to push back against politicians who are heavily trying to regulate cryptocurrencies. Even like I've been hearing about Gary Gensler at the SEC. That's been a monster, just making up stuff because he's back behind the evil criminal cabal bankers, to sum it up. And also Elizabeth Warren. I was telling a source that's very progressive recently, I said, you got to be very careful. He was telling me that Elizabeth Warren, I had already knew about this because it seems like the Biden administration is more anti-crypto or against digital assets. That's the new term under the regulations. I was informed they want to change them. But Elizabeth Warren is heavily connected, tied in. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Just like that governor of New York that passed that bill. Epoch Times did a video about what she did with the COVID camps. I'll just leave it at that. Check that video out. Epoch Times mentioned how she overreached her power. Kathy Hochul, on a side note, that new governor of New York that passed that Survivors Act thing, she's heavily connected. It's not a coincidence to the World Economic Forum, the Davos group, the Bilderberg group, and she needs blowback. She didn't like some of the publicity she got with legalizing concentration camps in the city of New York. And I met a lady, someone privately, I won't say how or where, that told me she was staying, she was traveling back and forth, but she was here in Michigan. And she said one of the reasons she had to leave New York because of their strict regulations. This is a true story. Older woman I met, and I won't say what go into more details how I met this individual. I could go into some more details, but I won't, because I help protect people's identity too. Because another thing you guys don't know, just like people who are reporting on that information, a lot of that stuff that you're hearing about Pastor TD Jakes and P. Diddy, from that lawsuit that Cassie filed and everything. A lot of this stuff I reported on things, and other YouTubers, a lot of this stuff is connected to Pizzagate, because there's one YouTuber I heard talking about the Epstein stuff. So if you want somebody that's, and I'm not trying to take sole credit for this, but somebody who's been on the front lines before exposing stuff, and I'm talking about dealing with children, I'm talking about women who've been in bad abusive relationships, etc. That's bad too. But mind you, people that were exposing this stuff going on with children, you got to ask the question, why was YouTube shutting their videos down? And why hasn't Kathy Hochul done more, or the governor of New York, to go after these child sex traffickers and human traffickers? It's not just the Survivors Act, but why did they cover up the Anthony Weiner laptop when the NYPD police and the the NYPD detectives, I heard, went to the FBI, and they were going to release a press conference of what they found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. So Kathy Hochul and her team of people with the Survivors Act, you need to go back and check out Anthony Weiner's laptop. You need to also investigate Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, his laptop, as the IT guy discovered. I don't remember his name. I saw the interview that he did. I happened to randomly catch where he all the evidence was on it. Why are you guys covering certain things? So you're not going to play this, because we're going to expose your punk asses. Okay, I don't care. We don't care anymore. We have ways to get the information out for those evil deep state people that are trying to censor these YouTube channels, etc. We got other platforms. We got other ways to get the information out. So we just want to say, you got to be fair. If you're going to expose one thing, then you need to come straight, because we got a lot of proof, evidence. Look at what happened with Jerry Sandusky at Penn State. Look what happened with the Nexium sex cult. Remember that? You know who else owned the private island? Richard Branson. Just look up who Richard Branson is. We need to talk about that movie that came out not too long ago called Sound of Freedom. Because now it seems like there's individuals who Oprah Winfrey was connected. A friend of mine is a Lyft driver, was telling me he had a passenger was mentioning to me privately how she mentioned to him how Oprah Winfrey is tied in with this sex trafficking. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Between this women involved, Hillary Clinton, Oprah Winfrey heavily involved in this, and no, bad publicity can destroy them just like P. Diddy, because they need to get it too. They're heavily connected. There was major pictures with Oprah Winfrey and Harvey Weinstein. Remember what the music artist Seal said. Remember the music artist Seal that did that song on the Batman soundtrack years ago? Remember when he came out, then he was immediately attacked, because Oprah has a powerful infrastructure just like many of these other people, but she can be brought down too. So don't let the smooth taste fool you that many have mentioned. We're in an age of Aquarius, age of exposure, that anybody, and just because what they're doing in Hollywood, they're trying to release movies and stuff to rebuild their image. This color purple bullshit, this propaganda. Don't let the smooth Hillary, Oprah Winfrey, she was connected. And there's receipts out there, just like Tough News, Tisa Tells, who I follow, and that guy in England, Murad, puts out good reports. I've been following that stuff, but they need to go back, because I did videos about Pizzagate and they were removed. Why was that? And this is more potent information, because this exposed how there was an international sex trafficking ring connected to Hollywood, to Washington, D.C., to overseas, to England. This encompasses all of this. That's why it's not a coincidence when I saw the video that Tisa Tells did that Diddy was connected to Epstein. And then she mentioned that lady who was in a photo with Eminem, I can't remember her name, that she became a handler. And then she had basically, Chandler was her last name. I can't remember her first name. She had handler in her name, and Tisa was showing how she removed all these videos of these people she was connected to, but she was a handler for Epstein. Because remember, what's coming up soon is the names of these people are supposed to be getting released, by the way. In case you guys haven't heard, remember a judge ruled. Now, for those out there who follow the Pizzagate stuff dealing with connected to Jeffrey Epstein, remember there was a flight law that had been already put out that had different names on there, such as former President Bill Clinton, Chris Tucker, Kevin Spacey, the actor who was going through a lawsuit. I heard about, by the way. And remember, look up that Nexium sex cult. Remember, there was Allison Mack, the actor, got in trouble for that. See, I'm mentioning hardcore receipts. Remember the guy that used to do the commercials for Subway? Remember, he got caught up in some stuff. A friend of mine reminded me. I forgot all about him. You think this is a coincidence, guys? All these people who are supposed to be friendly people that's having television ads ran for them, TV shows and stuff, you don't get in these positions by coincidence. So this thing is, I told you guys a while back, there was a major web bot hit with Cliff High. So one thing that's connected, part of the wealth transfer, because this ties in with the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, but this ties in with the wealth transfer information and the major temporal marker that Cliff High put out is because not only did Cliff High, I can't remember if either Jay Snip would read his report sometimes or if I was listening to an audio and Cliff High, but this was put out by him. Either or, I just can't remember because they deleted Jay Snip's original channel, so a lot of the videos he put out originally were deleted. Some people downloaded them, he got back, but I can't remember if he took them back down or if he ended up putting them on Rumble. See, this was a massive cover-up. This was prior to the stuff coming out, prior to TD Jakes and prior to Puff Daddy and the stuff involving what Cassie was exposing and all these people, other people prior to that. This is dealing with your most vulnerable in society, the children. And YouTube was complicit in covering this information up. So that needs to be concerning for people that didn't support my channel and didn't fight to get my second channel put back up. This needs to be very concerning to you, because if you're concerned about the sex trafficking victims of the Survivor Act, you need to be concerned about the children prior and those YouTubers like myself and others who were exposing and getting the word out to expose these minions who are part of this. So once again, don't let the smooth taste fool you. They're putting these movies out, and I heard there's another propaganda movie that's coming out. I don't really watch movies anymore, to be honest with you guys. Only when I'm spend time with my family. Is just like drinking. I'm a social drinker. Only when I'm spending time with friends. But I have discipline to that great degree. That's the only time I engage in those type of things. But I heard there's a movie coming out allegedly where they're going to try to paint Trump supporters or conspiracy theorists or white people to make them look bad. I don't know what it's called, but it's going to be propaganda. It's going to be a subliminal message in there that they're basically the ones who are that it's supposed to be good white people helping minorities or other people out to help people. And that's basically propaganda to push their agenda. So they do these things because Hollywood is heavily engaged. And I found out Hollywood is the name of a tree that's used in satanic rituals. And I found out when the superstars so-called follow the walk of the stars, that's code for Baphomet. And Hollywood is coded, it's a code for the Church of Satan, secretly. It is connected to Satanism. Yes, I said it is out there. There's a lot of information. You have to connect the dots. You have to do your research. But I'll go through the list again. Nexium sex cult was heavily connected to Hollywood. You can look up what it was, who was connected to it. Remember the actor Allison Mack, and she wasn't even the head person. Two of the head top people pled guilty. So this has already been reported on by the mainstream media. So I want to say this is not conspiracy theory or alleged. This is something that actually already happened. Some things are alleged, but I report on things. Jerry Sandusky incident at Penn State. Remember that? Remember when that was all in the news? That was something that was reported on. That actually happened. Okay? The Anthony Weiner thing, even though it only went to a degree, certain prosecutors real high up top didn't follow through with the case. His laptop, or Hunter Biden's laptop, he got in trouble with other things. But they need to follow through with the laptop. And you guys need to put pressure on them. So if they're going to come after all these other people, they need to be fair, because this deals with the children. And this is how I found out, and this stuff got exposed to being an international sex trafficking ring, to spanning, remember you guys heard about the, what's that relative of the Queen, Prince Andrew, before he died. I mean, she died. Remember that, Prince Andrew? That's something that actually happened. Remember he settled with the accuser? You guys seeing a pattern there? Look at all these different things. So this is tied in with the wealth transfer as well, because from listening to another call that reports on Iraqi dinar information years ago, they were saying that a bunch of arrests needed to be made, and they didn't want drug dealers, certain deep state criminal cabal people, basically taking advantage of people again accessing this wealth. So they've said there was going to be continual ongoing arrests for a while. You guys remember that? That's still happening. That's another reason allegedly why the dinar hasn't happened yet. I also heard it was being held up by someone at the U.S. Treasury, that banks have been on standby for multiple years, wanting this to be released publicly, the international rate. But there's a bunch of arrests and stuff that's tied in that they want, I guess, as many as possible. It seems like it's been going on for a while, but there was a call that I listened to. I won't say the name because I guess there's people out there that fight over who you get information from. But I feel his information, in my opinion, has been accurate throughout the years. And I'm going to give you an example. There was an instance where I don't catch all of his calls, but there was one particular call I was listening to, and he mentioned about these arrests. And he said, right, I noticed the next day after listening to this call, there was a bunch of arrests made on an international level. Now, mind you, this guy is not, I didn't see him as a psychic or anything like that. I'm just someone who follows and listens to the information, and there was a bunch of arrests that were made. What does that tell you? You know, I'm just saying, guys. So hold on real quick. Hold on. I'll be back. I know I'm talking fast. I'm going over a lot of information. So going over, I covered, this was supposed to be about where are we headed from here. Continue to accumulate what you have been accumulating in terms of foreign currency, digital assets. They once again, they want to move away from calling it crypto. These regulations are not by coincidence, but that's the cabal. Remember, the cabal doesn't want the poor man or the average man. They themselves that are greedy, wealthy, want to also have major control over that. But another thing I was going to mention, and this is very important, this ties in with the wealth transfer information, because there's still a lot of people out there, and I knew this some years ago because I used to be one of them, that are on the fence about cryptocurrency, that don't like, Bitcoin. And I understand where they're coming from. There's a lot of people out there who are on the fence. But let me say this. I'm going to try to articulate this the best that I can. You're going to need to learn about, and I was sharing some information with someone else from some information I received from my private source a while ago. I even did videos about it on this channel a while ago. I did several videos that were last year, I believe. Very important. If you look at some of my older videos, I covered with one of my major private sources, share it with me. And this is coming from high up. I won't go into the details how I know, but I kind of saw this coming. But one of my other private sources who actually told me about XRP originally told me a long time ago, but I didn't know. I figured it was something deep with it that was going on, but I didn't fully know. But I found out some more information from my other source. But I'm being told you want to learn about digital assets or cryptocurrency, because whether people like it or not, they're moving over to this. Now, you should have a backup as well. I've told people, buy silver and gold if you can. If you gold, I know it's more expensive. They do have them in fractionalized pieces, but silver, I think, in my opinion, has a better upside in the long run, because silver has industrial usage, is used in a lot of medical supplies, has a major industrial usage, computers, electronic devices. So I hear down the road, it's going to even be used for, what are those devices called? I was just hearing about, they're going to use this technology 100 to 200 years into the future. So I found some videos that broke down, because this is how I think. Mind you, a lot of you guys may look this up. I don't remember the names of these videos offhand, but the way I do research, I'm very inquisitive, and I shared this with a friend of mine. But silver is going to be used in a newer type of technology that's going to be used to allow vessels or spacecrafts, or they call starships, move at warp speed or achieve the speed of light. I just forget what the technology is called, but there's going to be down the road, there's going to be a high demand for this industrial usage, allegedly for teleportation devices as well. But that isn't the device. It's another type of device. I can't think of what it's called, but it's between two different types of devices that's going to be used, or technology, I should say, that's going to be used to perfect warp speed technology to create starships, because they want to visit exoplanets. Alpha Centauri is one of them, one of the closest exoplanets in the solar system, as well as others. And they need a ship that can achieve these speeds. And because when they mention how far, if you understand science, I know some people don't believe. I met some flat earth people, and let me say this: I respect everyone's opinion out there. I have one of my best friends acknowledge, and this is how I know, when I was in a Telegram group, because particular group, the guy who was the head of the group, he apologized to me. I apologized back to him. I said, I don't mean any offense, because the powers that be, they want us also divided, too, by the way. So they put out some of these different things as distractions and things of this sort. And I know we all have our own belief systems that we're passionate about. But I'm going to let you know, I do a lot of research, and just to let you guys know where my stance is at, I'm not a flat earther. I don't believe that we're in a dome. I know I have a friend that's a geologist. I have my brother is an actual geologist, by the way. That's the field he went into. I originally went into engineering. When I started college, I changed it to something else. I did end up getting my associate's degree in business administration, but I was in information technology. I went to DeVry Institute of Technology for a while. They told us during orientation, when I went there, we were going to have to, in order to graduate, they told us up front, you're going to have to build a robot in order to graduate. So it's like some Terminator type stuff. I saw this stuff coming years ago, by the way. Just putting that out there. So my mind, I'm more open-minded, but my mind can comprehend things that average people can't. And then I have met a friend, personal mentor years ago, that helped explain some of these concepts, some of these difficult subjects that were difficult to comprehend, because he studied quantum physics, laser beam technology, and anthropology. And if you haven't studied these different subjects or different fields of study, you're not going to understand. So I don't mean no offense, but flat earth people out there, you got to understand, if you haven't studied anthropology, you haven't studied geology, astronomy. I took some of these classes, many of these classes, even in elementary school, middle school, growing up. So one of my sources was bringing to my attention, they don't explain the longitude and latitude, the equator of the planet, the Earth's core and why it does spin, and the reason why you don't feel it, the Earth's magnetic field. It's a lot to unpack. So I personally don't believe that we're in a dome, but I did come across, I found out, I saw a pattern. I met a lot of these flat earth people on Telegram, and I know some of them don't believe in exoplanets or don't believe that we've ever left the solar system. And I disagree with that. I think, yeah, the government does hide things. I'm not saying that I totally, fully trust the government, because I asked a friend of mine, why did a lot of the flat earth people gravitate to? And I have a friend of mine, he's very brilliant, and he told me from the outside looking in, he says they gravitate to you because your beliefs are on the fringe, sort of like their beliefs. So I said, very interesting, on the fringe, huh? But I try to, I speak on things that have been reported on. I know I shifted gears quite a bit from speaking about the wealth transfer and then that stuff that was going on with the sex trafficking, but that ties in. They said they're not going to allow the wealth transfer to occur from one of the sources unless a lot of these arrests are made. And I'm wondering, that seems like it could go on forever. It could go on and continue to go. But when will that ever stop? But I guess maybe they want a certain amount. But that's been real as far as the arrest. They even been arresting mob people. I saw reports, members of the Sicilian mob. I was like, whoa, worldwide. And I saw this different reports coming in. A group in Canada, they arrested a mob group that had their own underground casino. They're going after drug traffickers, but they mentioned years ago in the reports. This is not my word, so I want those street dudes out there who don't understand this stuff accusing me of being a snitch or none of that. No, I'm reporting on things. I'm just sharing things that have already been reported on. Okay, but it's important to know this information because the Illuminati, the ruling class elite who controls the mainstream media, wants to dumb the general public down, the population. So they won't report on the information. So it's up to us to get the information. What he calls conspiracy theorists or fake news deemed a cybersecurity threat. No, you're the fucking threat, Klaus Schwab, you evil scumbag, son of a bitch that wants the world depopulation. You and Yuval Noah Harari. No, you all are the scumbags. You fucking demons. Excuse my French, guys, but I just get passionate. Those are the real scumbags. You need to look up who they are. And it's not like they hid it. They wrote books and stuff. They wrote about it. This is what Alex Jones has been trying to warn you about. Okay, I have to be honest. I've been a listener for a number of years. I know I've been sharing that. Some people will wonder, who is this guy I've been talking about? I know the white supremacists call him the fat man or whatever. But there's a reason why they don't like him. And just like certain black nationalists, because they need to have an enemy out there. Some say he's controlled opposition. I don't believe none of that bullshit. I've been listening for a number of years. Alex Jones has reported on a lot of information that he's risked his life. Others have been on his show that I have seen that have been murdered. By the way, Senator Nancy Schaefer, by the way, if you can still find her old videos, I don't know if you can because YouTube scrubbed his channel. She was out of Atlanta, Georgia years ago. Some of you all who remember, I think she ran for mayor. I can't remember if she won or she was a former senator. She was a politician, and she was exposing the child sex trafficking ring amongst child protective services. And a week later, after she had already appeared on Alex Jones's show, she was due to come on a week later. And this is a true story. Her and her husband were shot dead in their home. You think it's a coincidence? 1 week later, she was due to come on Alex Jones's show. Her and her husband were shot dead, and she was exposing Child Protective Services, CPS, and these wealthy people in the state of Georgia who are involved in trafficking children. This is some years ago. You had whistleblower. You had the DC Madam, by the way, who was also a guest who Alex Jones interviewed. These were the pioneers before all these channels, they're real big. I'm proud of them. I like Tough News and Tisa Tells and some of the other ones and Murad out there. But let me give the credit where credit is due, because a lot of people, before it was cool, Alex Jones paved the way for a lot of people to be comfortable, or other platforms to go out there and explain what was really going on. Okay? Some of you all really know. Some of you all know what's happening. And this stuff ties in. I was explaining to people with this banking stuff dealing with the Illuminati, and when the Federal Reserve Act was created in 1913. All this stuff is not a coincidence, guys. That was all put in place to, it was a goal plan to enslave the entire population. And they mean business. Former FBI agent who died some years ago, Ted Gunderson, was a whistleblower. By the way, if you guys are familiar, if you guys remember Ted Gunderson, some of these people you can look up. You might be able to find their videos, some remnants that are still left, because YouTube removed a lot of channels, but look them up on Rumble, BitChute. It's another platform. But look up Ted Gunderson. Look at his videos. He was a whistleblower, and he was also a guest on Alex Jones' show many years ago, warning people about these elite criminal scumbags. And if you haven't saw it, watch the movie Sound of Freedom. That is a real movie. That is not propaganda. That is exposing what's really going on. See, we need to have real movies, not this fictional Tyler Perry mess. Fictional stuff that people try to take literal. See, you have a difference between fiction and nonfiction. So a lot of the stuff, I give you guys context to look up, to research stuff. A lot of things I speak about, just as I've shown proof, has been reported on. I'm giving you guys the ammunition to look it up. So if I'm confronted about it, it's public out there. When I mentioned Jerry Sandusky at Penn State, have a good memory. You guys remember that when that was reported on? Remember how that Joe Paterno got, was it Joe Paterno? He got, 2 years in prison. Joe Paterno got 2 years in prison. He was a whistleblower. He went down, the all-time football coach who was would have been, I guess, in the Football Hall of Fame. I don't know if he was removed or taken out, but they saying he knew about it when they found out. It was a real bad scandal. And that was public. That was in the news, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Remember Ghislaine Maxwell? Remember the Nexium sex cult? Remember what's the guy, Gerald Fogel from the Subway commercials? He's still locked up. Found out about him. It's been so many instances. Peter Nygaard had an organ trafficking farm with the private island. Oprah Winfrey interviewed him. You think Oprah was sucking Weinstein's ear and she's not part of this? You women out there, you guys got to be real. You got to stop with this bullshit. Talking about, oh, I don't believe that. When I brought this to my friend's mother-in-law's attention one day, we were in her basement. And she said, oh, I don't believe that. No, you need to believe it. You need to know and look this shit up. These people don't have your best interests at heart. And Hillary Clinton, just because they're women don't mean that they're not part of stuff. Women are part of these things. And I mentioned the actor Allison Mack. There was others who were part of that Nexium sex cult. This was reported on by the mainstream media, meaning this actually happened already. Okay? So I'm giving you guys facts and evidence, genuine evidence as to material facts. If you have common sense, other than that, you're in denial. Because I do have deep state or cabal agents who, obviously can't stand when I go over some of this type of information. But let me get to the comments. See, Darren Jackson in here says, good to hear your feedback. Secret Balance says, hey, Dorsey, thank you for your persistence and being a voice of reason. I tend on the esoteric. You bring me back to a place of reasoning that is grounding. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, definitely. Yep. I know I get esoteric. That's what my friend used to say to me years ago when I was waking up, when I asked questions. Things. This is esoteric information. It's like out of sight, out of mind. I know for some it is a taboo subject, but it's becoming more common. The elephant in the room. But I like to add context to it. Chief Vegas in the building says, peace, Dorsey. Appreciate you, Chief. Thank you for joining. Secret Balance says, there is an alert state. Okay, this is what it sounds like they were trying to say state. Okay. Jojo A says, peace, blessings to you. Fabulous Girl XRP says, hello. All right, greetings. Yes, XRP to the moon. I did a previous video. So I did get kind of really deviate away from the topic. Sometimes I don't know, because I freestyle these videos a lot of times. I don't know what I'm going to name these videos. Maybe I should go back and rename them. But I said, where are we headed? And I wanted to encourage you guys to stay the course. If you've been continue to buy gold and silver, physical, while it's still affordable. And silver, I was going to do a separate video, can potentially have, according to Cliff I, if it reaches 600 an ounce, that's going to be more than 10x gains. Guys, if silver hits from where it's at today at 20-something dollars, if it hits 600 per ounce, that's going to be way more than 10x gains. Because I always hear about in cryptos, a lot of these big guys talking about 10x gains. One thing you can't go wrong with, trust me on this, is sticking with buying physical silver. You should diversify your portfolio. 1 ounce rounds, silver 1 ounce rounds. You can fractionalize in smaller denominations. Constitutional silver, even though the premiums sort of went up a bit, or they call junk silver. They refer to as Morgan dollars, peace dollars, or Mercury dimes, or Roosevelt dimes that 1964 and back, that predate from 1964 and back, Washington quarters that has silver in them. Kennedy half dollars, remember, you got to go 1964 and back prior, that contain 90% silver. You want to have that in your stack, keep accumulating it. That's just as important, if not more important. If you have dinars or cryptocurrencies or XRP, you need to have silver in your portfolio. That is a must. This is not financial advice. I'm just saying. But silver, precious metals have stood the test of time. Silver has a lot of historical history to it, by the way. You have to look it up. Let's see who we have in the building. Multi-Haystack says, hey, you Dorsey. Appreciate you joining. Together We Are One says, yay, I caught you live. Yes, thank you for joining. Together We Are One. Says, together we are one. Says, I have a holly berry tree 2 feet away from me right now. Okay, interesting. Gotcha. I know certain things can be used for positive purposes or negative purposes, but I was mentioning how I found out about Hollywood. And whether you believe in God or the devil or not, there is a hidden agenda with Hollywood. That's not a coincidence when I mention those instances that have been reported on, from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, the Jerry Sandusky scandal, the Nexium sex cult that involved the actor Allison Mack and others who were in the midst of that. Remember, from Anthony Weiner's laptop that exposed when NYPD police were going to release a press conference, and many of them, here 9 out of 13 of the detectives ended up dead or died. Some of them went to the FBI. The FBI didn't really do anything. Allegedly, under Obama, Attorney General Loretta Lynch threatened if they were going to release a press conference, she was going to arrest someone related to the Eric Gardner situation, to show how there was a massive cover-up. Mind you, this was way before the stuff coming out about P. Diddy, way before the Cassie Diddy lawsuit. So I'm just saying, these other channels, you late to the game. Tisa Tells us talking about her conspiracy theory cousin. I like to talk to her. Holler at your boy, Tisa, if you ever anybody knows or familiar with her channel, because I can help break stuff down for you. I can connect the pieces. I was also part of a rap group years ago, and I can corroborate some of the things that she's been sharing in her videos. It's kind of funny to me how there's a new Diddy video dropping every day. It's been had me laughing. They've been talking about TD Jakes. I said, I'm stunned. I never look at TD Jakes the same way anymore. I used to have high regards for Pastor Bishop Jakes, and I don't look at these people. I would say him in particular. I said, wow, him. I said I had no idea till recently, till this stuff, these allegations allegedly came out with Puff Daddy, and I saw the photos. I said, the fact he's even associated, he don't even have to be at the parties. But I said, why are you associated with Diddy? A man like you, who would speak very authoritative years ago and receive high praise. When I remember when I was living with the pastor years ago, and my relatives, they looked up to you. You seemed like the preacher that wouldn't compromise. And now it seems like he's turned and given into the world, become worldly like them. Now, I'm not judging. I shouldn't judge because, hey, I understand I don't go to church anymore. In particular, I'm at a whole different level. But I say I'm a spiritual person in terms of my spirituality, my faith. I'm at a whole nother level where I wanted to understand things better. And I want to do a whole thing about the reason why a lot of black people in particular are Christians and are brainwashed. I was having a conversation with the historian, and some of the flat earth people I came across, a lot of them I found out don't believe in the transatlantic slave trade. Yes, it did happen. Some of them claim we're all Indians, but what they fail to understand is our history runs parallel. We're mixed into the population. They fail to add that part in from the historian I was speaking with. And there's been movies made about it. Remember the Nat Turner movie? Remember that guy? I can't remember the name of that actor. He got caught up in that scandal dealing with the Me Too. Some people refer to. I saw parts of it, but I knew the concept. I knew the history, so I didn't need to see the movie. But the historian I spoke with, a lot of black people, the reason why they place a lot of emphasis on Christianity, African Americans, melanated people, during slavery times, by the way, they weren't allowed to go to church. They had to beg the master, could they go to Sunday? It was called Sunday go-to meeting. And he said it wasn't called church. This is historical context. It wasn't until the evangelical movement broke out in the 1830s, around that time period. And I was asking a historian for proof, by the way, context, because I like to have evidence. And he said he was working on that. I've asked multiple times. And I've corroborated this information where I remember hearing a preacher who just died named Carlton Pearson years ago used to talk about the Azusa Street revival that happened in the early 1900s. So when you go back and understand the history with cultures and you studied other cultures and ethnic groups, you understand the reason why a lot of black people, they reverence or like church till this day. Going back to slavery time, symbolically, it gave them a chance to stay away from the plantation, from sharecroppers, from picking cotton, from what was described as a hard weekend's labor, hard day's work. It gave them a form of a getaway. So, and they weren't allowed, they had to ask permission. And once again, they said what was stated historically, it wasn't called church, it was called Sunday go-to meeting. Because the Sabbath, I understand, was really supposed to be on a Saturday, from what some have shared, according to the Bible and proper context. But there's a reason, because the government has taken over many of the churches, are 501c3 organizations, by the way, which are compromised. Also found out 501c3 is an IRS tax code, meaning if you go against or you speak against the rules in the IRS, they can take that status away from you. Just like when the mayor of Houston threatened 3 pastors down there who were speaking against the LGBT movement some years ago. This is how they bully pastors into supporting their agenda, and how they control churches through their agenda that are 501c3, because they should be under 508, or there's another type of structure that's protected differently. Because 501c3 is very public and it's controlled, and there's it's a bait and switch. By the way, sum it up. You have to research it, but just keep that in mind. So that's how they control the churches. And I was informed many years ago, Bishop Jakes actually met with, I remember when he was summoned by former President Bush some years ago, because they felt when certain people were getting too big or too huge, where they gain an influence over masses of the population, this seems like they have a scandal, for example, because they don't want certain individuals. Another thing I told a friend of mine, maybe a reason why they're going after some of these billionaires or big names that's had scandals that seem like they were squeaky clean in the past, even Tiger Woods or other people that's had different scandals, or tarnish their reputation, is it seems like, in case they don't want maybe another, my friend understood this, someone else becoming like a Trump, having so much influence over the population or certain demographics of the population. They don't like that. So the ruling class elite, the evil criminal cabal, wants, they want to control, it's about control with them. So my friend said he understood. He said, yeah, that makes sense. It's just a theory. And that's something that's just theoretical. I'm not saying that it is, but that was a theory that I had that could be a reason why they're going after even black billionaires. He was saying, my friend has a theory, his own unique theory. They didn't like the fact that certain black men were starting to come out and speak on Trump's behalf, like the billionaire Robert Johnson, who was a former owner of BET, one of the first African-American billionaires, Ice Cube, others who were millionaires or had a lot of money. And he said they want black men, or the image of black men, as thugs or drinking liquor, alcohol, or smoking weed. They don't want you having or seen in a positive light, having nice, wholesome families. My friend said, this is a theory. And I said, appears to be some truth to that. So that's why they're going to come after, they're going to tear down Diddy and Jakes. I think there's multiple things going on at the same time. They also don't want people having too much influence. And in particular, certain groups, they want to make black men. That's why Hollywood and entertainment, when they do these shows, they make the black actors or the black fathers in these shows look like goofballs, or they're always the silly ones, where the woman or the wife is always running the show, and the guy is made to look a beta male or gamma male, which is actually less than a beta male, made to look goofy or weird. That's not on purpose. That's propaganda. So they also don't want, just using this as an example, and this can go for other groups as well. African-American men, melanated men seen in a positive light. They want us seen, or they want you out there having babies out of wedlock, in and out of jail. They want you to a criminal record. They don't want black men portrayed in a positive light. So maybe that's another reason you got that element going on. You guys understand that? So just the theory I have, and between me and a friend of mine. So I'm going to get to reading the rest of the chat, and I'm going to get ready to probably shut things down. As I just wanted to come before you guys. It had been a minute. I may do a video on my other channel down the road soon, hopefully. By the way, I do have, if I haven't announced it, I do have a newer Dorsey's Resource channel. If you type it in the YouTube search engine, put in @Dorsey's Resource 873. Type that into the description box, and that is my newer channel. And hopefully I may have some things over there that you like. If you haven't check me out. You can go over there and check me out down the road. I have some action-packed videos in store. So I'm going to get to the rest of the chats. Haystack says, I do remember that. Chief Vegas says, I'm hearing for med beds as well. Okay, I've heard of that. Says, I stopped trying to prove the sheeples. This great path is not for everyone. Yes, I understand that, but we still have to continue to reach those. Like there's a saying in the scripture, he who has ears, let him hear. He who has eyes, let him see. So there are those out there who are hungry for the information. For example, and I can see the numbers when I pay attention to a certain group that studies redemption information, redemption education, and I see the numbers growing where people are hungry, they're desperate for this information. So that lets me know there's a stampede of people now that are waking up. So we have to continue to reach out to those if you have the ability. Together We Are One says, it's always a special gift when you go live. Thank you, JD. Appreciate the positive words. Chief Vegas says silver will help with the med beds from what I hear. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if it's used. Silver has a lot of industrial usage. It's going to be used in the new technology. I just can't remember the name of it. That's going to be used for the starships down the road. It's a certain type of technology that deals with magnetic propulsion. I hear allegedly teleportation. But there's going to come a point in time where the demand for it is going to be high. Where gold is more so hoarded. Where they said silver is going to, some people believe it could even surpass the price of gold because of the demand for it. I'm not saying that would happen right away, but down the road, because the industrial supply, because I hear allegedly years from now how Bitcoin is so popular that into the future, there's going to be governments are going to fight over. Allegedly, Cliff High's data sets shows governments are going to fight over fractions of Bitcoin. So even if you own a little bit of Bitcoin, a tiny bit, I hear it's going to become so valuable that governments are going to fight over fractions of Bitcoin. So that's very interesting. Don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but that sounds like hyperinflation or some other things where fiat currency or the current fiat dollar that we have today is going to become practically worthless down the road. It's going to take some time, but the value has been diminishing. That's why when you purchase silver, gold, you retain your purchasing power, because as the dollar weakens, I've done videos. You go over to my other channel, I did several videos on silver, and I explain how, remember, even in our money supply, because there's some out there that say, oh, Dorsey, we're not going back to a gold or silver standard. Hey, you never know, it's possible, but I'll tell you this. How come those same people don't tell you that in our old currency system, which wasn't a long, long time ago, within this century, the past century, not a long, long time ago, that your silver was your dollars, your fiat notes, what we call Federal Reserve notes, was at one time redeemable for silver or gold. Look at the older currency. It says payable to the bearer on demand. Look at the older promissory notes, the older Federal Reserve notes. You can pick up some of these notes as memorabilia at the coin shops, but look up, why wasn't it not that long ago the fiat currency that we still use today? They changed some of the verbiage. They took some of the verbiage off. But did you know those same notes used to be redeemable in silver at one time? Think about that. And why wouldn't that one day not happen again under of course, I hear maybe under a different type of banking system. But, it's just best to be prepared in multiple areas, not just XRP, digital assets, foreign currency, but hard assets, which are known as the commodities market, precious metals, silver and gold, but specifically silver. Silver is going to have major upside potential because of the industrial usage. The demand down the road is going to become astronomical. As I said, private suppliers may even come to people that the demand is going to be so high that they'll pay you for what you have, because it's going to become so valuable, because they're going to need it for the new technology that's coming in the near to distant future. The demand for it is going to be extremely, extremely high. Think about it. So now is the time. Don't hesitate, because people are gonna wish when you see silver start hitting $100, $200, just like Solana, the price is going up. People are like, man, I wish I bought Solana. Crypto, even though I don't hold any, I'm invested in other digital assets. But people like, oh man, I wish I bought Solana, or just like Ethereum went up. You're gonna get priced out once silver hits $600 an ounce. People are gonna say, oh, that's too high. Or just like gold is already at 2,000, over 2,000 an ounce. What happens when it jumps to three or 4,000 an ounce? You see, so, but silver is still at 25, 20, 28, 26 bucks an ounce based on your coin, your LCS, your local coin store. That's not bad. That's still a good deal. According to Cliff High and Bo Pony, you can see potential gains. The silver hits 600 per ounce. That's well over a 10x. I hear a lot of people in the cryptocurrency market talk about, these coins are going to make probably do a 10x. One thing you can't go wrong with diversifying your portfolio. If you want to be for sure, get you some silver coins. Don't hesitate. And you want to hold the physical. Have it in your possession. Learn about it. Make sure you're not buying the fake stuff. Make sure you know how to test it. You're buying the real stuff. It's best if you find a local coin store in your area. Best not to necessarily go online. Now, I understand some that do that, but preferably find a local coin store in your area. Preferably a local coin store versus a pawn shop. Talk to them. You can call them up. Or best, if they don't have time, if it's later in the day, go up there in person. Get educated. Because when it hits, it's going to be too late. Hyperinflation kicks in. Because Cliff High said, and once silver reaches, and according to his data sets, hits 600 per ounce, he said, you may not like the world around you. You may not like, and I said, I can see that, because things are declining now. The purchasing power of the dollar weakens as your price of your groceries goes up, your gas prices. You go to the grocery store, notice it's not a coincidence. The price of eggs, the price of milk goes up. In certain states, the price of fuels skyrocketed. It's high. So these are things you can do to help mitigate that and retain. Not saying it'll make you necessarily rich right now or top middle class, but it will help you in the long run retain your purchasing power. Like if you've been doing this for a while, throughout the years, even when I made bad investments, I lost money. It's helped me retain the purchasing power that I have. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Appreciate you guys for joining me. God's Hammer says, I'm very, very leery of the med beds. Okay, I don't have time to really go into the details. I feel you coming from. Together We Are One says, try to only invest in tangible gold and silver. Crypto can easily be hijacked by central banks. Well, I don't have time to kind of expound. You want to have your portfolio to be diversified, because I mentioned earlier, I probably have to do a follow-up video. But Together We Are One, you might not be aware, I have some people inside connections high up. You want your portfolio to be diverse, because they're going to change. They've already changed in the banking system. It's going to move over to blockchain. They're going to get away from fiat currencies, by the way, to digital. And the regulations, you'll see as more regulations comes down. I don't have the time to expound, but it's not just solely just gold and silver. Some people are archaic, but I was going to say, I issued a plea. I was telling an elder not too long ago, you're going to want to learn as much as you can in relation to silver and gold, by the way. So without further ado, appreciate your time. You guys have a good one. Stay blessed. The marathon will continue. Until next time, legends never die. They live in our hearts. I'm out.